Bring that beat back.
Yes.
Welcome to the Fourcast. Minus HRap. You should be here.
It's the 3-cast right now.
The 3-cast right now.
3-piece right now.
3-piece and a biscuit. 3-piece and some boxes.
Yes. Lots of
that. I'm Ben, BS3. We got Dawk and Wilks. How y'all doing tonight?
Fantastic. As creative director at BS3 Radio, I'm thinking about repurposing this beat, this intro music, and putting it over to another show called Queen 3 and Kings and let them use it for their introduction. Oh my God.
We can pass that beat along. Everybody can use that beat.
No, not everybody. This got some copyright attached to
it. Okay. Yeah. But we will be talking about High on the Hog Part 3 and 4. We were just mentioning this. There's a lot of meat in both of these, literally a lot of layers to it. And this has been, I would kind of compare this to Exterminate All the Brutes, just the way how deep it is and how it peels back some of the layers of stuff that we thought, oh, this was here for years. This was something that was created. This is something that maybe we didn't have a part of, but we've had a huge part in a lot of culture, cuisine, some of everything, really. We've helped build this country. So High on the Hog, how African-American cuisine transformed America. And again, like I said, we'll be talking about episode 3 and 4. Episode 3 called Our Founding Chefs. And it was kind of basing in Philadelphia. He was kind of walking down the road in Philadelphia. And let's bring on Texas HRap. You can lead that. You can lead that as Texas HRap.
Yeah, he ain't going nowhere.
Thanks, baby.
There you go.
I know you still ain't got none of that left, man. Ain't no way you could have that much left. You couldn't smoke that much on the plane, man.
You can't be drinking gulps.
Well, you gave me a big cup like it was all gulps. That wasn't mixed.
Well,
Oh, no, that wasn't mixed. Ice. It was mixed with ice.
all right.
If I knew how to get it on there, I would have had me some more. I got to call my cousin Terry, have him send me some Texas.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Rocker sent me some Atlanta.
Oh, really?
He sent me some Georgia.
All right. So, HRap, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Got stuck. I did laundry today. And I guess somebody thought my stuff was their stuff and they left my dryer door open.
Wow.
This first time in like 20 years I didn't have a washer and dryer in my place.
Wow.
I'll be right back. I got to close these windows because I got soundproof windows. And if I don't, you will hear every car that drive past.
Okay. So let's give our kind of introduction on episode 3. Man, it was so much in this. I was joking, like I almost had to flip the legal pad over because it was so much content that was in this one. But it kind of Dawk, I'll go to you first. Kind of give me your take on over episode 3.
No, I think you're right on. It's super meaty, and as a result, you see, I take my notes on my phone, so I can immediately email it to myself, put it in note form, and print it out for the show, right? And my phone, the text message got so long, it said, okay, you need to, it's like, you got no more characters. I'm like, what? Your text messages can't just be forever, whatever. So I had to send it and shoot myself another one. So again, so much information. And maybe I'll mention, and the bottom line was, HRap and Wilks don't know this, but I kind of told Ben today, but this weekend I was working on trying to get someone who wrote an article about this on the show with us, because she was talking about a couple of young ladies who were actually interviewed and recorded for this series, but it didn't make the floor, and they were like, James Hennings and Hercules, the guy that they talked about, they're great figures, but that's not all, and so it just encapsulated what I said. And I told her, I said, just on last week's episode, I actually said that imagine how many recipes didn't make it. Imagine how many stories didn't make it, whether it be on the show or whether it be to this country, So I think it's just that's just the deal with this. It's so much information. This is just the tip of the iceberg, right? So that's my take on this. Great information, but it's just so much you can't pack it into these 4 episodes.
Right. It's so much to get to, and so much that, like I said, we have put into this country, especially with food. Wilks, I'll go to you.
Yeah, no, I just think there's a lot of. There's a lot of representation to be like, all these ideas and things that were pretty much cultivated and created by, African-American people that was kind of covered up over the years or whitewashed to the point of like, why are you so upset, that the gentleman's out at the Hatchet out in California, doing the Hercules and Hemmings menu. And he talked about how some people were like turning their nose up at it. They were upset about it. I'm like, what is the problem? I mean, what are you so upset about? It's like it's just food that was presented, in a time of this is how we create. This is how we leave a legacy. And who knows if they were even thinking in that regard? But somebody, a historian, somebody was. I mean, it was carried on, and it fed prominent people. So why are you so upset? When a person of color or a Black person has invented something and you think about, I remember my grandmother used to cook this. Yeah, but do you know where that came from?
Right.
Where did it get its start? But the whole show is just, these last 2 episodes, but the entire series is amazing. I'm glad Dawk mentioned it to me because I had not seen it, and I thought it was pretty good.
Well, not only that, Wilks, but it's in what we've invented in terms of the food itself, but it's the ingenuity with regard to creating the food. For instance, the way I cook macaroni and cheese, which was never a big deal for me, is now a bigger deal for me, and the way I cook it has changed forever. I forever. I'm not doing it any other way now. Than this one. And then also, you talk about the method which it was cooked over, open flame versus, closed or contained fire, indirect heat, which is that's the way I'm cooking chicken on the grill. It's indirect heat, so it's just, again, amazing, man. Not only the types of food, but how you create it, what you do with sauces and all that stuff to break it down and breaking the rice down to become grits and all that other kind of stuff, man. It's just fascinating.
Yeah. Shout out to Rucker Park.
Rucker Park in the house, as always.
Thank you.
Of course, I'm still trying to figure out how to get my hands on oyster fat, but we know how I'm going to have to probably do that.
I'm looking close. I'm trying to look closely at Rucker Park profile picture. Did she got some bangs in it? Is that a different picture? Is that we got some bangs and a little color? I see you, Rucker Park in the house.
They sitting nice. They sitting nice and pretty, like bam.
She got the Bible study going on
like that.
Covering that left eye.
Looking real good. Shout out to my man Archie Red.
Going on.
He said Triple D in the house. He's got a podcast called Don't Drink the Kool-Aid or Drink the Kool-Aid. He's based out of Dallas, Fort Worth. So we got to get you on the show one day. He does a really good show. HRap, I'll bring it to you.
Believe it or not, as great as it is, I was somewhat disappointed with their choice of going deep. It's this one instance in which, like Dawk said, it was too much information, but they chose to go deep in this one direction. And if they would have went deep in the direction that I was hoping that they would, it would have made it even more intriguing for people in our community. And that is the macaroni and Hercules, the Hercules story. The Hercules story is an awesome story, and they tell about how Hercules got away, but they don't tell how Hercules got away. They don't go into detail, and that was disappointing to me. I'm not excoriating these people. Thank you for doing it. I really appreciate you doing it. But Hercules has a sister named Ona Judge, and she knew about if you leave a plantation for 6 months, you are automatically free. And she was corresponding with George Washington back and forth about that. And that's why Hercules left, because you got a sibling teaching you how to get out of this situation. And that was disappointing that they didn't go deeper into that, because it was something else they went deep into. And I was like, well, what about Ona? And Ona Judge is a person in history that nobody ever talks about. She's Hercules' sister. And I think, that's a sister that wasn't playing no game. Anytime you corresponding via mail and you are a person who escaped a death camp called slavery, and you telling the dude who they are labeling the father of the country, I ain't coming back. Right. Let me and my brother go.
Yeah.
Got to show her some love. That's all.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this, HRap, and one of the things that I've learned from you this year, you have done a fantastic job on your show, End of the Bench podcast, Build and Destroy, and a couple of others, and you gave me far too much credit, by the way. But one of the things that I've learned from you this year, and people are probably getting tired of me saying it, but creating and fostering an environment of comfortable disagreement, right? But at least we're going to have a conversation. Wow. Well, in that end, I think that would be a fantastic story too. But the name of this is How in the Hog, How African-American Cuisine, so you can't dig into each of those stories like that. He probably deserves, and Ona probably deserves a documentary of their own, so to speak, and so once you get too far away from the actual food, I can see why they're saying, okay, let's cut it off,
Yeah, but it was this one instance that they did go a little deep, and I was like, you should have went that deep on the last one.
and maybe this is an opportunity for them to put out a season 2. I mean, like, what's there to say that you can't dive in deeper to these other stories? Right. Because there's so much more content that's out there. So that's what I'm hoping of, to your point, HRap. But let's go into who Hercules was. He was George Washington's chef, and he was world renowned. And this is the part that got me. He was selling leftovers and making money. Mm-hmm. So he would be having parties.
First dude that was selling plates.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure they didn't have styrofoam. I'm sure they didn't have paper. I don't know what they had. Yeah. But he was he was selling link baskets and chicken sandwiches. And he was like, we could repurpose that turkey we had in the turkey sandwich. I mean, that is it right there. So that's who Hercules was. And then it did go into the Hatchet Hall in California, which those dishes looked amazing. I wanted to try every last one of them. The way they did the slow-mo with the sauce, and Wilks, you brought that up, so if you wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, no,
Wait a minute. Oh. So apparently, HRap, this I want to cuss right now. But I know Christmas here. Apparently, this fish gonna continue. He telling them about some sauce. Have you heard about some sauce? I damn sure ain't heard
It
about
was
no
on the
sauce. I don't want to
documentary.
hear it. Go ahead, man.
What? Oh man,
It was on the doc.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm calling you
Go
tomorrow.
ahead,
Dawk.
man.
I even said at work, I'm not gonna mention nothing.
Nothing else but this sauce.
Hey, all we did was talk about Forney at work. That was it. That's all we talked about today.
No, it is.
Go ahead, man.
So yeah, it was just the way they were preparing the sweetbreads and how they were just doing the certain dishes and like they said, those delicate cream sauces that were perfected in France, and they bring that back. It was just and how they use the stew ovens, because they made those specifically for the delicate creams and the reduction sauces.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to try to elevate that and pass that on, I thought that was really a big deal, because I have to say I had never heard of these two gentlemen when they mentioned Hercules and James Heming. I had never heard of the names, but just to see that somebody out there has perfected or tried to preserve that, it kind of sparked my interest, like to even do more research on who these two guys were. And I'm pretty sure there were others as well too, but these being significant to George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. But it was really an interesting thing to see that a restaurant has modeled themselves around these cookings. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, I think before we even got on, how it just, well, I probably did mention it earlier at the top of the hour, but it was like one of those things where it was like, how are you so upset? Like, what, it's like, well, why are you so mad about it? But then, like you said, it's good to see some people embrace it and just like enjoy it and kind of honor that. So I thought it was pretty good.
Excellent point, Wilson. If there's anybody who has a racist point of view about the limitations of a people based on their race,
right,
that alone tells you, right? Because you mentioned the word delicate, right? And how do you know how many people give up on cooking because of that sort of thing, right? Like I can't get this sauce right. I can't get this strawberry. If Mika listening right now, my little sister Mika Ball, one of the queens, she got everything about this homemade strawberry cake right, but she can't get the sauce right, right? If you ever have it again, if they determine something about a people based on a few individuals, this episode alone will tell you these some smart cats.
Definitely.
And back then, right? Back then, and just shout out to Patricia Medina of the Charlottesville Tomorrow. She may be listening, watching. Patricia, if you're watching us tonight, please come on, give your credentials so people can check out your article. She wrote an article about High on the Hog and some female chefs there and things of that nature. Her and Naya Bates also, who did not make the episode. She was interviewed for it and stuff like that. So if you're there, Patricia or Naya, please say hello in the comments, and we appreciate what you did. It was a great read, Patricia. So hopefully we'll get you on Monday.
Mika said you telling her business.
Yeah.
Shout out to
I get it, man. I get it. I mean, but we laughing, but that's the excellence. That shows how awesome we are. Mika, y'all ancestors. This is somebody in your ancestry that can cook their behinds off, and it went right to Mika, and Mika is like, hey, if it ain't the way she wanted it, or her spirit won't allow her to give out mediocre. And as you watch this, you realize that, hey man, this is not only, as we spoke last week, this isn't only preparation of a delicacy or preparation of a meal. This is a representation of who I am.
Right.
Yeah. So no, I'm not gonna give you mediocre, because you could cook a smorgasbord and get one cupcake wrong, and nobody remembers the whole plate. They don't remember the feast. Did you see the cupcake? And it also, just think about how people during this period, these enslaved ancestors of ours, were stymied at every turn. You can't dance. You can't congregate. You can't. So they had to come up with any other way to express themselves, whether it be cooking, whether it be inventing something, whether, sneaking and learning how to read. You had to let this creativity out, or it could potentially cost you your life, because when you hold in that type of greatness, it manifests in another way, and it's not going to be a positive way.
There you go. Ooh, that's strong right there. That's strong. That's worth the watch back right there. You
That's
late, but you on time.
That's good.
Hey, boy, y'all saw that cringe up, boy.
Let me give a couple shout outs to D Great. He's tuning in. Chris Chrisman, Just Joe, Maxine Bland. That sounds like an artist name too. Her and Benita need to make a duet.
She an old blues singer now. That's how I think. That's Bobby Blue.
Definitely. So Hemmings, let's get into the story of Hemmings, who was Jefferson's chef. And they talked about at Jefferson's plantation, Monticello, 607 people enslaved there. And I heard that number. I'm not necessarily shocked, but I'm like, wow. James Hemmings trained in the French cuisine. So Jefferson, this is a very interesting part of this story, that he took him to France and said, I'm going to train you on how to cook the food that I want to eat. And the guy became so good that he was, we talk about mac and cheese. He was the one that really kind of brought that over to the States. And also they talked about French fries and ice cream was like staples. And then they had the lady that was there and she cooked the mac and cheese, which looked delicious. But let's talk about James Hemmings. I thought that story, and we're getting to another aspect of that in a minute. But Dawk, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, I don't know if Sally Hemmings, his sister, right? That was the cook initially, right? You know, and Jefferson recognized some traits in James Hemmings that said, this will be a good cook, you know. And I think it was his servant. He was doing some serving or some other things. And he's like, I like how this cat operated. That's why he picked him to go over to France to be able to do it, right? Thomas Jefferson, they give credit for being one of the first foodies, you know, especially one of the first president foodies. And he'd have dinner parties all the time and wanted to show off Monticello. Even to this day, you can go to Monticello and cuisine is a big deal, you know. And before we just get too far away from Hercules, Posey, and whatnot, again, they mentioned a lot of those dishes, right? Martha Washington, I believe, is getting credit for it, right? And they, you know, like one of the guys was like, but
come on.
We all know where it really came.
He didn't cook that ass. How she gets her dish, right? But the way but the way they thought was, you know, if I own the slave, whatever the slave came up with, that intellectual property is mine, you know. So that's how they kind of operated. So, but yeah, this dude, man, you know, and the part I kind of missed and I'm a little foggy on is that when he was in France, he negotiated his freedom there. You know, he's like, you know, before I come back with these dishes and this knowledge that I gained, I need to be free when I get over here. And they made a deal, and I'll let the other brothers talk a little bit about that deal if they remember. But yeah, again, just another fascinating story.
Yeah, that deal right there. HRap, you want to touch on that?
Oh yeah, it was a deal. And before I go into the deal, it's this video clip out here. I'm gonna send it to y'all at some point of Dick Gregory, and he's at a conference, and he has an audience in front of him. He shows this video. It's a video clip, maybe about a minute and a half, of this man, of this Pastor Kyle. He was there when MLK was assassinated. And I don't know if it was a slip of the tongue or he was telling on himself, like Dick Gregory said. He was like, and I stepped over so the man could get a clear shot.
I seen that or heard that, yeah.
And Dick Gregory was like, see, your mind, you know, the Lord will compel you to tell the truth.
Yep, I remember that.
Come out. I read this book that I say this probably, if I do 52 shows a year, I say it on at least 40 of them. I read this book 30 years ago. It made 30 years in May. And it talked about how God forces the truth to come out no matter what. They're passing laws currently so the truth can't come out. They actually got a law in not Atlanta, Florida, in the state of Florida. You can't teach anything that will hurt a white person's feelings. But even while you're passing these laws, stories like this come out. See, this is why Kanye made that ignorant statement. Oh, we wanted to be slaves. No, this story right here debunks everything Kanye said, because we never addressed the fact that, one, there were people that looked like me and you owning businesses walking around free during this period.
Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia. And two, we never talk about the fact that people who were enslaved had the wherewithal to negotiate getting up out of enslavement.
Right.
And that's what that negotiation lets you know. It again, it flashes a light on our greatness, but we have to be looking for that light in order to appreciate it. Now, he was over there and he realized, I have something that's valuable. Again, to reference last week's show, I mentioned this law called meritorious manumission. You can get your freedom by making life comfortable for a white person, saving a white person's life, and snitching on a slave revolt. My man knew that. And hey, I'm cooking all these great meals. You're comfortable. You got to let me go. And more than likely, he knew the law about being away from the plantation for 6 months.
Yes.
They probably were over there for 6 months. Hey man, technically you don't own me anymore. I can jack you up over here, or you can let me go.
Yeah.
And probably this tall, and he was probably don't have to look me in England, man. We ain't friends, but I will give you 2 French fries. But yeah, man, I really appreciated that portion of the story.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the trippy part is he trained his brother, and also James when he went to France, he was 19. He came back, he trained his brother, and he trained someone else. I couldn't remember who else they said that he trained, but he was like, I'm gonna train a couple people. Right. I'm gonna train my backup, and I'm gonna train the backup assistants. So you ain't got no excuses. You ain't got no excuses to tell me I can't go. But I just wanted to touch on internally, like how do you deal with that you were about to leave and your brother's gonna be there. Now they didn't go into the brother, and again, that's another part of the story that they can do in a part 2. Right. I mean, like there's a lot of. But I wanted to touch on that. HRap, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I think that's why he trained the other dude, because you teach your brother how to cook. Your brother start jamming, and this other dude is gonna be my brother's replacement. Sucks to be you, but my brother getting the back.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And in addition, the way I looked at it is I just immediately assumed that was going to put his brother in a better position than he was in before anyway.
Yeah.
Whether even if he had to remain in captivity, it was a much better captivity than he had experienced up to that point. Yes, so either way, it was an upgrade for him. I can't get your freedom, but I can make it good for you. You know,
right? And you could be slinging them leftovers out the window too.
Right.
Shout out to our man Mon. Thank you for tuning in, Mon X. Appreciate that. All right, so James, trained his brother to get his freedom, and the mac and cheese, which that has always been a staple in my house since I was a kid. But my mom is watching. She always knows anytime I come home, she'll have some mac and cheese with baked a little bit on the top. And then when they made this, me and my wife was both watching. She's the cook, so shout out to her. She was like, that's how I'm going to make it from now on. And it just changes your perspective. And we have, our hands are in everything. When I say our hands, I mean us as Black people. Our hands are literally.
Don't look at that side.
Our hands are literally in everything.
Yes.
And when seeing the mac and cheese to me was a great aspect of that. And then they talked about open. Were they saying open heart cooking or open?
I think
hearth.
Hearth. Open hearth.
HEARTH.
Yeah, which was it was beautiful to see. And then they talked about, hey, you could get burnt, so they were wearing longer sleeves. Right. I mean, it really I like that aspect of it. And if anybody else wanted to touch on that, Wilks, I'm actually going to go to you. Have you done this type of cooking before?
I will say I actually have done I've done cooking like that before down in East Texas when we had our family reunion. My uncle had a cast iron Dutch oven like that, and we would bake cornbread in it. And he would make cornbread and he would put it in there, and we would just put the top on it. Now, instead of having the wood like they had, we would have like the coals or whatever. And of course, making the mac and cheese. I've never made the mac and cheese like that. I am tempted. Of course, you know, when I see stuff like that, it gets my gears turning. But you know, when I do my mac and cheese, I actually used to cook it in just straight milk. I've never cooked it in the mix with the water. I didn't think about that. So there's a lot of different ways to approach it. But yes, I'm sure like everybody here, once I've saw that, like I got to try it. Like I've got to. That's like the next staple. Like that's going to always be something. Like how can I pass it on? How can I honor it by remembering that recipe? You know. Yeah. But no, I enjoyed that kind of cooking. I mean, my biggest goal in life is to cook on the beach one day. Like I want to be right down on the beach, and I want to cook out in the open on the beach. Like that's one of my things in life. Like I just one day to cook out on the beach. That'd be awesome.
Oh, shit, let's do it. Transcend Monday say, I want. Is this for real, man? Are you really doing this? Or are you being funny?
That's what they called it.
They call it mac and cheese pie, and then
okra
of course okra soup we got from that. So on this open hearth cooking, to me, to describe it for our viewers who may not really know what we're talking about, this is kind of like, you know how a gas stove has open flames. This is like a gas stove on steroids, right? And so if you took a gas stove and a brick oven, you know, and they kind of had a baby, this is what this hearth thing would look like, right? Yeah. So if you've ever had brick oven pizza or been to these places, I think Romano's may actually have a brick oven, you know, that they kind of do some dishes in, like that twice baked macaroni thing that they have and a couple other things. But that's basically what this is. And that's where the saying, if you can't stand the heat, get out the kitchen, because they were like, it was always hot. Yeah. And it was dangerous in the sense that because the women still wore long clothing, you know, the sleeves, and you know how the dresses were, then where they kind of bowed out a little bit. And so they were dangerous in terms of catching on fire and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was a dangerous situation, you know. So I think it's, again, you know, just what we had to go through, but that was still considered an upgrade versus being out in the field.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. He said no gas, electric, just trying to see something. So, all right, well, take some photos, post it to the BS3 radio group. And shout out to DJ Knox, Front Ground Records. Thank you for tuning in. And I do want to give a shout out to my parents. Let me do this. Their 39th wedding anniversary was this past weekend, which means I'm going to be 39 this year, coming up in the next couple of months. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
39. If my math is correct. Okay.
No comment.
I see you, Big Ben. We need to make plans then to be in you know, we have the June 19th celebration one weekend in Dallas. Then we fly where your parents are to celebrate their 40th with them. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Oh, man, that'd be a great show.
Definitely, yeah, it would be.
Archie Red.
Shout out to Mrs. Hilliard. I don't know if
Kimmy Koo, man. Do we need your help? HRap.
Hey, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna say the last
Chicago name right there, but she in Houston.
Okay,
taking over the state of Texas.
She down there with just Joe. Huh?
Joe from Chicago too.
Yeah.
Now wait a minute. He said they taking over the state of Texas. I'm just gonna say this: ain't that much takeover in Wall Street. You understand what I'm saying? And do I need to post this picture from last Friday when you to show you what kind of takeover schemes y'all coming with?
You see the name. I was home.
Shout out to Archie Red. He said I'm from East Texas, but Dallas was my home. Shout out to the 903. He also followed up that comment by "You got your folks married, fam." Yeah.
So that's what you need to say at the speech. I'm responsible for these 40 years. Without me, y'all wouldn't be here.
How would y'all be without me?
Yeah. Exactly. So a 200-year. Did anybody get the name of the lady that was cooking the mac and cheese. I don't know if they brought her name up or not.
I didn't get her.
I don't think they. Oh no, they said she. All I saw was doctor or something. But her name didn't last. I didn't rewind it to see it.
She. I think she's one of the people that are around Monticello today, right? You know, that's part of the kitchen. She probably in charge of the kitchen or something. You know, there now.
Right. But she said the mac and cheese is a 200-year-old recipe. I mean, and I'm not surprised. But the people, and I said this earlier, the people that put the taste in it was us. I guarantee it was bland. I guarantee it was bland, dry. Yeah. And people had to drink water after
I guarantee
taking a bite.
We invented it. Yeah. It was never bland and dry.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting ready to. Yeah, my mac and cheese game finna get ready to go stupid. It ain't.
You know why I say I think we invented it? If you own 400 people, what in the heck are you doing in the kitchen?
Right. Yeah.
It ain't like they had no refrigerator.
Oh yeah, no question about it. Yeah.
Right. And the funny thing with the macaroni is that Jefferson, before he died, they were saying, I don't know how many months, I think it was 3 or 6, that he ordered like pounds of macaroni because it was just that popular. And the person that was cooking it was Hemming. So there you go. Now, when we talked about his freedom, the story, they did kind of talk about the story. He moved to Philly. Then they said he moved to Baltimore. And then they said he ended up dying. It was kind of fuzzy. Some said they were saying he drunk himself to death or whatever it may have been. But he did have his freedom. And I thought like he did what he had to do to get from underneath Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, man, I don't think I doubt if he, you know, we're talking about American history because, so, you know, there's like 14% truth and then the rest is, that's what they told me.
Yeah, lies, and more lies.
Right. You know, I don't even know if that's thing in the sky called the sun. I mean, you know, that's how much they learn over here. But I doubt if he drank himself to death, because if you drink yourself to death after going through that type of trauma, that would lead me to believe it was something you were missing something, or it was something there was a void somewhere.
Yeah.
Those people, when they got away, they had to be ecstatic. You've never heard of that's like somebody that would be like him being institutionalized. And I can't see that. I don't see that.
If he was drinking as it happened is to celebrate.
He was living his best life. Moping around.
Right. Yeah, I don't want him to know he killed himself. See, that proves that he liked being a slave. Nah. One of y'all poisoned them. And this is the end of the story y'all get.
Right.
Yeah. And then it goes into Hercules, how he lived in New York City. He fled from Jefferson after he was put in the field. That's the part where I'm about to get away, and you're getting the sense of it. So you gotta put me in the field, and then it was like he just disappeared.
Yeah,
I mean, like they didn't. It wasn't like they had a lot of background on it. There was like he disappeared. And HRap, you were kind of touching on this earlier.
Oh yeah, man. Hercules and his sister on the judge, man. If y'all get a chance, look into those people. Those are significant people in the history of our community, because it shows you, again, we are not just people just sitting there going, just beat me, don't rape me, hurt me, and I'm just going to play this banjo, and I'm going to pick this up.
Play the banjo.
It feels like that. That's not, man. These people were wildly intelligent. They knew the law. They knew who was writing the law. They knew how to spread the law around. And something else, let me show you how intuitive we are. You know, we always, one of our favorite ancestors is our ancestor Harriet, right? Harriet Tubman. And they give you the impression that Harriet woke up one night, okay, Dawk, Wilks, HRap, Ben, let's go. And then we just ran. And then we showed up in New York the next day. No, I found out this recently. This is what the sister Harriet used to do. She started off in Dallas. She moved to Austin. She moved from plantation to plantation and just worked her way, you know, just fit right. Okay, I'm gonna blend in. It ain't like, oh, well, you got some Gucci. No, she had on enslaved clothing. So she just fit into another plantation until the night fall, and she ran again. You don't get again. you know what type of genius it takes for that?
Right.
You know, you run from Georgia, you run from Virginia to West Virginia to Philadelphia. You done ran through about 15 plantations along the way, and you grabbing people. And you know, from what I understand, if you pump fake, Harry was gonna block your shit.
Yeah, you was about to get shanked.
Yeah, hey, so hey man, it needs that again, man. Shout out to Netflix, and I know they're doing this for revenue. Nobody over there had a crisis of conscience, and hey man, we need to start telling Black folk stories, man. Nobody did that. Y'all doing it because there was a Harvard study that said we over-index on television, right?
Right.
So what they're doing is they're sacrificing profit. And they didn't know we were gonna get together and start talking about this. They didn't know the lady up in Martha's Vineyard was gonna be watching, and she telling folks, and our friends and family are telling folks, and they gonna mess around and wake up. Malcolm X, and it's an 11-year-old Malcolm X somewhere. It's an 11-year-old Dr. King somewhere. Right. It's an 11-year-old Farrakhan somewhere. It's an 11-year-old impressive young person who's gonna see this, and he's gonna be unstoppable. Shout out to Netflix. But that's what it is. You understand? That's just what happened. And you keep trying to suppress the truth when you could just let it out, make it an even playing field. We're not gonna get you.
Right. Yeah, you're not trying to.
Yeah.
Mika, you don't eat mac and cheese. You must be allergic to cheese.
No, I'm allergic to cheese. Trust me.
I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised you don't eat it. That may be something you have to talk about tomorrow. I deserve this shot.
Yeah, you sure do. You sure do. And Craig ain't gonna ever forget that. I promise.
I know he's not. He said Ben had problems with pronouncing Kim last name. Remember why you didn't go to the military? So yeah, I'll take that.
I went to college.
I'll take that. I'll stand right here, hands up. I'll take it. I deserve that one. All right. So Thomas Downing, the Oyster King. I love this part of it, and the guy that was he kind of took over from here on. What was that guy's name? The guy, he was in Philly. Oh, Chef Omar Tate. Omar Tate just eloquently talked about Downing, and then he cooked the whole meal for the people. But Wilks, I wanted you to kind of touch on this because I know you have some. So you knew about him before this documentary.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was even watching when I heard about Thomas Downing, the Oyster King, but it was another one of those things where you gained your freedom in the sense of I'm going to start harvesting and create this empire of oysters. This is my way out. People seem to like this. This is a booming product. So it's just one of those things where, how can I break into this to ensure that I'm always going to be free? And the fact that he opened the doors to free slaves and maybe even runaway slaves that were looking for their freedom. But Thomas Downing became, huge, significant symbol in the oyster trade, which is so weird because I don't know if I'd have to research it, but as big as oysters are today and shucking oysters, like I don't know if there's a company out there like the Carolina Gold. I don't know if there's a company out there representing the Downing name. Like I don't know if there's anything presenting that, but just the fact that Omar Tate has taken that dish that he created, that Downing kind of created. I like the fact how he went into that and just tried to keep that. I like the story of this entire series. It's just keeping that legacy alive. Mm-hmm. And like Dawk has always repeated, think about the meals that did not make it.
Yeah.
Think about the ideas that did not make it. Mm-hmm. So now you've got people holding on to these ideas and harnessing these ideas. And, and another thing, as I watch this, we always hear about, you're doing what the white people doing. What they doing? Because they doing what we invented. What are you talking about?
They're just copycatting.
Our hands are all in that. So, it's, you eat them? Like, yeah, I do, because I enjoy them, but it's just one of those things where it's like the fact that we literally have been woven into every fabric of this United States. It's almost a thing that's unbreakable, undeniable. But
we need reparations, but also we need We need taxes. We need everything that has been involved and all the money that's been raised.
I think HRap has said it before. It's like they would owe everything to us.
Oh yeah.
Might as well just pack.
Get on that spaceship. Right. We're trying to go to Mars now. Go ahead. Bye-bye.
Go ahead. We'll see you when you fall.
Bye-bye.
Wow. Like in 85 when
there's that.
Too soon.
I'm just saying, you going to Mars, you better stop watching them on the Schwarzenegger movie. It ain't real. Boom.
Hey, Jeff ain't showed the space launch in school since.
Like,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Doc, you wanna touch on that?
One of the things I like about it, I'm a wordsmith, so he called him the bad mother shucker, and I think that's just the coolest. And one of the things that he said, he's like, I like when I get people that come across that. I said, hey, you want to try one of these oysters? And I'm like, oysters? I ain't never had no oysters. What you talking about? He's like, come on. And they tried and they like, man, this is good. And so I've tried oysters a couple of different places here in Dallas, and they just not my thing. But that made me start thinking they just hadn't been prepared properly, right? So it's like I want to go to that cat and say, hey man, give me one of your oysters. Let me try it the way I'm supposed to eat it. Because shoot, I mean, you had people from all walks of life, just random dudes. Hey man, come try one of these, and they're like, man, that's good. I ain't never thought about eating nothing like this.
Exactly.
What a way to open someone's mind to something that they're not used to eating.
It's all in the presentation. It's all in the way you, like Doc said, it's all the way you present it. I mean, I've had people say, oh, I don't eat lamb. I'm like, how you eat that? It's so musty or gamey tasting. I was like, the trick is you have to take that lamb and then you have to marinate it into a point where it removes that gamey flavor.
Right.
It is all through the grain of that meat. Now, of course, the only way I cook lamb is usually on the grill. I smoke it. But, I mean, usually when they taste that, it's like, man, I never had it. Because people just take the lamb and then they cook it. But
you use blunt papers or white papers, or you smoke it out of a pipe? Well, I
like to use the cigarillos.
Zigzags.
Cigarillos. Oh wow!
Take the black and mouse and cut them open. No.
Wow. Speaking of invention, we gonna get it done.
Yeah.
To piggyback off Wilks, but that shows you how contaminated our food is. Yeah. You don't like food the way it naturally tastes because it's having processed. Because I remember the first time I went to the South and saw a grandparent.
Yeah.
I fed the chickens that morning and ate them for lunch. And I was like, whoa, what is this? That's the red one?
Right.
And it tastes different.
Right.
Yeah. So that just shows you how jacked up our taste buds are. Because we're not eating food. I love the taste of wild game animals. I mean, there's a different taste between a wild turkey versus a turkey that's farm raised. Yeah. There's a difference because it's feeding off there, it's living off the land. I mean, that's a different taste. I enjoy gamey animal. Yeah, I like the taste.
And a perfect documentary for people to watch is, I believe it's Super Size Me 2. You guys have not seen that.
I ain't seen number one.
Seen that one. Okay,
you got to see both. But the second one, I'm gonna just. If you haven't seen it already, it's been out for a couple of years, so you'll get over it. It's.
You better get him that disclaimer, Ben. Don't send a bunch of people to watch that. If you want to lose 15 pounds, watch Super Size Me.
That's why I don't want to watch it.
But the part
to talk me out of what I like doing.
The part that amazed me was when they talk about free range. You hear that term a lot, free range chicken?
Right.
Well, all they have to have is a little oval like shape outside of the barn, and that's called free range.
Wow.
Free range is not that they get to roam around outside.
Right.
That means they get to get 2 feet don't know, maybe. You know that part. You know that part at the top of the key on the basketball court. That little area right there, they get to roam around, and that's called
in the paint.
In the paint, and that's called free range.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they're starting to find out about grass-fed cattle. It's like they're throwing that name around so much. You know, people are falling for this. Oh, that's grass-fed. You know, it's like whatever. It's labels. It's marketing.
Right. Shout out to Patricia Mason. Also, my name.
Say my name. Say my name.
Exactly that part. Shout out to my man Vinny Hardy, co-host of Cats Talk Wednesday on BS3 Radio. RIP to his dad.
Kentucky Wildcats. He
said, just watch the first episode today. Well, we on 3 and 4, so we can give you a little bit more, but it's all right. You get a little bit ahead. So Sandy Ground, they talked about Sandy Ground, was a place in New York that was founded by Black people. It also showed, different pictures of them and how they went there and they kind of set up shop. I never heard of Sandy Ground. I don't know if anybody.
I have not.
I hadn't.
I heard of it, and it's not far from what they call Central Park. Now I'm trying to think of what the original name, Seneca Park, and that's where much us live. And then they was like eminent domain, and get your black, get your black, and then here it is.
Archie, I don't know
how much land at one point we dominated in the city of New York. Believe it or not, I saw this. It blew my mind when I saw it. I'm gonna shut up. You remember? It's this song, a Wu-Tang Clan song. Old Dirty Bastard is rapping, and I saw on the History Channel he wasn't lying, and he was like, the Indians stole that land from that land was stolen by the white man. He stole it from my grandfather, and he said, and if anybody step up, they gonna get knocked the F out. And the History Channel was like, yeah, Old Dirty Bastard is skinning that man.
Wow. Archie, I don't know if you said an organic grocery store. Is it Whole Foods? You don't have to tell us. You can send me a Facebook message if it's Whole Foods. Mika says, watch 15 minutes of it and almost changed my life. That movie had me not wanting to eat.
I told you.
It does peel back. So yeah, but I'll give you some tidbits on it.
You want to lose 15 pounds? Watch that in this documentary called "What the Health."
That's another one. Yeah, wasn't that by Quincy Jones?
Yeah,
Quincy Jones' son. Yeah,
you'll be like.
It is an organized plan for us to be unhealthy. It's just a simple truth.
Well, look at what the food pyramid has changed now. I mean, so much
again.
Yeah, even that's
everything they told us to eat when we were 10 will kill you.
Right.
Okay, you work at Sprouts. Cool.
Probably Sprouts.
Yeah, we stop by Sprouts sometimes. Which one? So we can all slide.
See, there we go. We trying to get a hook out there.
You ain't got to tell everybody. You can just tell me.
Tell me one of them honeydews, man.
Let me get some of that frozen elk meat.
He said, "Read my message from earlier, smart guy." Milk ain't even good for you no more. Build strong bones. Yeah. That's a lot too.
If you a cow,
right? Exactly.
Right.
He said Marsh, and I got the hiccup. I'm a manager. Okay. We will be by there. Everybody but HRap.
He may not be for long because he doesn't expose their scams. But you better get in there. You better go tomorrow, right?
I'll go tomorrow. What time you open?
Now you can find it off, David.
I'll be up there. Yeah.
But hey, before we get too far off of downing, this part where you notice he cut that apple up, and I was thinking about Wilks when he was doing it. He sliced these apples up in the cubes and put on top of those oysters, man. Yeah. And all I could think to myself is that over the course of this documentary, right, they've been talking about African American cuisine or African cuisine not being considered fine dining. Right. And as a result of the components that we were used to cook a lot of our food, which some people call slave food, right? You know, the parts of the animal that the master didn't want. Right. So when I saw that, I'm like, man, just seeing him do that really inspires my culinary tendencies. He makes me want to go get it, you know, and just do my thing, you know, like get in there and mix around and mess around with some stuff, you know, because that was, to me, that was just outside the box thinking. On a whole nother scale, man. You know,
I think for me with the apple and the oyster, I think you have that acidity, that natural sweetness that matches with that salt water. And I mean, I can only imagine. I haven't tried it like that, but I can only imagine what that may taste like. Of course, like I said, when I see stuff like that, my wheels are turning, my gears are turning. You know, it's like I got to experiment.
Yeah, and you're right about that, Craig. I did want to go back to your comment. Black people can take anything and make it taste good. It was prayed over and made with love. That's real. And
wait a minute. Don't, hey, homeboy. You know you're my dude. But you can't come on here telling us which comments to read and how and when and stuff like that. If we don't want to read your comment, we ain't reading.
But there was one part
tell you who had a cut when.
And to that point, though, Chef Omar Tate, when he was talking about the oyster and when he was reading the directions of downing, it sounded almost like a love story to oysters. The way he was talking about it, it was, and that again goes back to that point.
They called him the oyster king, man. I mean, think about how many times we've been exposed to oysters, and like Wilks said earlier, we wouldn't attach oysters to black folks at all in any capacity. Exactly. Right? It just wouldn't be. But they call this dude the Oyster King of Wall Street. He was selling them on Wall Street, right? In a stand, like a hot dog stand. Yes. And I put on my notes, I said, that's the real Wolf of Wall Street right there. Yeah. He was getting it in. That's the real wolf.
Definitely. Yeah. And it just makes me wonder. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Bree Mack, is that your cousin?
That's my cousin. She's talking to me. Now, don't be telling them my name. They already got my government name for the first 3 episodes. You want them people to find me no matter what.
He said it was the one about being pronouncing Kim. Oh, I already put that up there.
Yeah, you got to pay attention.
I already put that up there.
You must have got up and went to TT and came back. We got you.
We always talk about quotables, and this one was by the lady in Sandy Ground. Communities change, but the history remains the same. And I don't know, that sounded like a rap lyric.
Oh yeah, it was one of those moments where it was just like you can try to cover it up and lay layers over it, but the history underneath all of it is still going to remain the same. Yeah. It's like it's still going to be there when it's told properly, and when it's unearthed, it's going to come out. And I think Dawk said it earlier. I mean, or HRap, but one of them said like God is going to always find a way to bring that truth out. Like something's going to always find a way to the surface. Yeah. It's just one of those things where it's like you can't stop that. You know,
Mama used to say, "What you do in the dark gonna come to the light." That's basically what that theory is.
Really, right?
Exactly. Ben Harvey was another. That was the real Mother Shucker. That was Ben Harvey. Okay. Now the restaurant they were sitting in, was that? I was trying to figure out, was that his? Or was they were just hanging out?
I didn't catch the impression that was his. I thought what he did was more on the stand situation, catching folks going by and stuff like that.
I was wondering that too, though, because he was sitting there awful comfortably.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
We do that all.
Think about it. That would be a wonderful way to get people in your restaurant.
I know. That's what I was thinking. I was trying to put two and two together.
That's true.
Like, hey, try these oysters. Hey, I'm over here on 8th Street. Come on by.
And the funny thing is, I can eat clam chowder, but I can't eat shrimp, lobster, and crab.
Love clam chowder.
Oh man,
if you've ever been
some oysters
in San Francisco, right off the beach, they serve it in these bread bowls. Oh, good cloud.
Wow. So oyster has the pearl. So once the pearl is removed, then it did not have a purpose for the white man, but the black man took the leftover and created.
I see you can be cool.
Watch out now.
There you go.
You can't be cool.
There you go. We need a bell or something for good comments.
Yeah, that's right.
We have to figure that
Greg would never get it.
Shots fired.
Wow.
The Trail Catering family in Philadelphia. I like that aspect of it and how they didn't know. And to the point of Hemmings, the lady that was a part of the family that was working there, we probably have somebody in each one of our families that have created something, if it's food or whatever it may be, and we have to just go back and find it. Now, the Trail, when they went to the basement, there was a gentleman later on when they were sitting around the table, and he started finding stuff. He was like, "Hold on, there was a catering business," and he started finding menus. Right. I mean, that part really was quite amazing.
Yeah, once again, inventing and finding ways, and like I said, it's woven into the fabric of the United States. I mean, it's just one of those things where it comes back to the surface. Not a lot of that was talked about. I wasn't, like I said, this series has taught me a lot of things that I did not know and just wasn't aware of. And you know, I'd like to do further research on some of the things, but I really enjoyed this series.
Yeah. Yeah. And we all need to send an email to Satterfield to say, hey, when is part 2? Right. We want to be involved at the premiere. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
Please. Shout out to Raider Kev, praying for you and your wife. Also, man, Raider Kev's getting into the YouTube game, so make sure to like and subscribe to his channel.
All right now.
You said that, Kimmy. Facts plus tax. I like that. Use that one day.
Yeah, and you know what is funny? Charles Barkley he was trying to be funny about 2 or 3 years ago. And he was like, I'm giving up so much money so black women can start businesses in Alabama. As long as you don't start up no catering company or trying to do hair. And then we find out we invented catering company.
Right.
Exactly.
Like the more we run away from who we are, the more we realize who we are.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s.
It's in me.
We speak from ignorance.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That was amazing. I mean, I've said it 1,000 times, but 2019 September, my Aunt Francine passed, and I found out that Nat Turner is my cousin. So if you start looking back, you'll see the greatness that's just right at your feet.
Right. Exactly. The pepper pot stew. Man, that looked good. Everything that we're eating around that table.
That looked great.
That was one of those moments where I needed a time machine, or I could walk through the TV and just start tasting some of that.
That's the one that he made with oxtails, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's that dish, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That was towards the end.
It is.
Omar Tate. Man, that guy's number one, his knowledge. Yeah, his knowledge on food and the history of it. And then the way he put it together, he just looks so smooth doing it too. I haven't seen that guy. Well, in the whole documentary, I didn't see him move fast at all. It was just smooth and methodical and cooking it with love, like Craig said. That's what it was.
I think he can get out too, because you could see that older man. He thought that man was challenging him, and the look on his face, like, "Oh, you don't think I can cook, can you? Do you?" And you know, he was an elder, so he was respecting him. If that had been somebody our age, he'd have jumped on him. He'd have been like, "Let me show you something."
Yeah.
And he was just like,
But he even talked about how, you know, his thought process when cooking and how he's trying to preserve, but at the same time, he's like, I don't always go by the recipe. You know, he goes, I get a general idea, you know, but I'm going to cook it the way I'm going to cook it. So it's kind of my interpretation of it. He goes, and that's the difference between our food and theirs, is that a part of us and is in each of these dishes that we make, you know, and that's why, you know, when you taste it, your initial like, this is good. You know, he's like, that's what I cook for the, you know.
Right.
So I can definitely dig that.
That's true, because when people were eating, and this is kind of like Wilks, when people were eating, he would kind of go like this, and he would look around like making sure everybody was enjoying it. And I was
thinking about Wilks when he was doing that.
Yeah.
That's why that's why I said I just have a joy of cooking, and it relaxes me and it puts me in those places. I mean, it even teleports me sometimes back to that childhood and just watching my grandmother or my mom and my uncles and our family reunions we would have and things like that. But anytime I see that, I would like kind of smile to myself, because it's just like, man, like I enjoy it, just that moment of people enjoying sitting around and eating. You know, I don't need to eat it. I just want to take care of you and make sure this is good and how you enjoy it. I get my satisfaction from that, and that's why I enjoy doing that.
Right. And when Dawk, when you said earlier, if you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen, that makes me think of my grandmother when there's a cake in the oven, or when she's cooking and she's like, get out of the kitchen.
Yes.
I mean, because number one, I don't need you in here messing up this cake and make this cake drop.
Come on now.
Number two, I don't need you getting burnt. So I need you.
We call it make it fall, not make it drop. But I get what you're saying. And also, you were in there because you were trying to lick the spoons and the blenders and all that other stuff. Exactly. I know what Trey was in there for.
That was what they called me in there for. Yeah. Did you realize the pork skins and crackling were created as chips because the slaves got leftover of the pigs? No, I did not know that.
Yeah, in one part of this documentary, they gave Black folks credit for creating chips. You know, in part of this. So and one of the keys before we get too far, and I know we're about to move some of the Texas portion and stuff like that, possibly, but they say we tend to talk about our ancestors as if they've been erased, and they said they haven't been erased. They live in our everyday lives. There could be no more. We could be no more erased or whitewashed than me trying to wash the color from my skin with some Ivory soap. It ain't happening. You know, we in there like swimwear.
Yeah. We in there.
Thank you, Wilks.
Note that.
We in there like swimwear. You know where swimwear is.
Oh, yeah.
On your booty hat.
So wow, man. See, there's a line. And I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable getting right up. There's a line. Yeah. But our job is to be right at that line, not to cross it, man. We want
somebody gotta cross it. It's gotta be one of y'all.
Probably.
Yeah.
Ray the Kev talking about his wife, Jay Twice, has the same energy about her food. She puts so much care and love into her food. Her satisfaction is a smile on people's faces.
That's it right there. That's it.
That's right. The satisfaction of seeing my mama smile when I make her chicken and dressing is worth all.
But tell them who got to taste it to make sure it's right. Tell that part.
Wrestling around HRap. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
That whale tail.
Wow. But Archie Red, you are on probation. Wow. We are revoking your comment privileges for the next 30 days.
He wide open, man.
Man, Archie.
Wow.
He wide open, man.
This is a family show, man.
Hey, kids supposed to be in the bed right now.
Man, it's too late for kids.
Wow.
This PG-13.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anybody got anything else they want to touch on part 3 before we go over to part 4?
Bellevue broth was part 3, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's significant. That Bellevue broth, because even the cat, I forget the name that you gave him, but he even talked about how he didn't know what Bellevue broth was, right? And I pay attention to where they're talking about the hardiness of this broth. When you think of broth, you're thinking some soup juice, okay, at the end of the day, right? And this stuff that's not going to last you long, et cetera, et cetera. But the way they developed this Bellevue broth, you could even tell the look on their faces was like, number one, this is tasty, but surprised at how thick and rich this is to be considered broth, you know. But again, necessity is the mother of invention. We need to eat. How can we make this more hearty for our bodies? Without saying it out loud, and we didn't use those eloquent terms, right? You know, our vocabulary may have not been what that is, but the sentiment is still the same, and that's effective. You know, so, So Bellevue broth is important in part 3 as far as I'm concerned.
That's a good point. HRap or Wilks?
Oh no,
he killed it.
So part 4.
If HRap turned down a comment, move on quickly.
Right,
Go
really.
to the next. Quick. Quick.
So part 4 was freedom. And they opened up with Juneteenth, which is also called Jubilee. Mm-hmm. And they taught slaves weren't told they were free for 2 years. Galveston, Texas knew about it first. And then it talked about the messenger. I wanted to touch on this.
Oh, wait a minute. Can we go back for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we get to Texas, I was going to ask, we got to talk about the beauty of the week, because the beauty of the week was in Philly. All right. Now, for you viewers, understand something. The beauty of the week is something I take it seriously as I take my chicken fried steak. Okay. It is. It is important. So Lauren Monroe, okay, in Philly, she was like with the Dutrail family and all that. She was around all that kind of deal, right? Lauren Monroe is our beauty of the Wazazik. Okay. So just give her a shout out, Lauren.
Appreciate you. You about to get like Mike Jones. My number 5144333.
Right. This show business, people. This just these jokes. I'm the comedian of the show. This just jokes. Don't take everything I say seriously.
They still Dawk going, hey, she might have been a 7, or on the worst day she a 3.
Right, he giving the phone out. Get out of here, man. Get out of here.
But HRap, this is definitely right up your alley right here. The messenger. They were saying, was he killed? Was he delayed? Right. What did they do to him? I know you got some meat on this one.
Actually, I just looked at it. Was one of those things I need to look into because it was obvious. It's kind of like when they say Malcolm X's daddy.
Well, they didn't even send it right there.
Right.
When they said they did. We sent somebody. I don't know what happened to it.
Right.
Yeah,
that was clearly a lie.
Yeah.
And then that story has been lied. They keep changing it every couple of years. 1 year is they wanted to get the new crop. The next year it was they. Yeah. Then ultimately, they're saying that they knew, and these soldiers, because this is the true story. This team of all black regiment came over on the train, got so far on the train, and they went to Galveston, and it started kicking behind, and then grabbed old boy by his collar and said, "Can I tell him?" That's the real story, and let these people go. And it was the last battle was in Richmond. They jumped on the train, rode it west to tell those people, y'all gonna let our folks go. And it was an all black regiment. That's what really happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they probably knew. I didn't even look into it. I was just like, it was one of those things to me, trying to debate if it was a messenger and he was killed. That's like saying, were black people slaves? Of course he was killed. And he probably take this with you, pal.
Wow.
Okay, thanks for telling us. Bam. I didn't look into it, but I did know. I do know for a fact that's exactly what happened. It was an all-black regiment. Got off the train and start kicking in doors and, hey, y'all free. Well, they say we ain't. Hey, they free? Yeah, we free.
Right.
Yeah. Good
wow,
point. Anybody else want to touch on that point?
No, I was just thinking, sometimes they talk about there's these scenarios that you're given, and they say, if you could go back in time at any point in history, what would you choose? And the day, man, that they talking about that, the day that's happening, wow, wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall to see all that go down, man?
No, right.
A fly on the wall. I didn't say be there.
No, because they start lynching folks because they got happy.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
We'd have to be a fly. I want to be a fly on a mountain. A black fly up there. Get some rain.
Be that fly on Pence's head. Which one is that?
That's the most famous fly of all time, man.
Right.
Pence Superfly.
Yeah, exactly. Good job, man. Good job, man.
Pence, you know what flies like sitting on, and I'm through talking.
Right. Yep.
Ooh, below the belt.
I'm through talking.
It's only true. It's only facts. Jarrell Guy in Black Girl Cooking.
Black Girl Baking, man.
Baking, yes.
Yeah.
Man, that stuff looked delicious, and she was also the one that talked. That got emotional. Was that her, or was that at the episode 1?
No, that was her.
That was her.
That was her. Yeah, matter of fact, I ordered her book.
I thought she was still talking about her.
Yeah, I ordered her book. I can't remember the name of it, but this episode, I paused it, ordered the book, and sent it to my niece. Mika, text Yana and see if she got that book for me. But yeah, her Black Girl Baking book, because my niece started her own baking company called Mass Confections during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And so I support her in everywhere I can. So whenever I found out she was a best-selling author for this book, baking book, and almost was runner-up for a couple of big prestigious awards and whatnot, I immediately went to Amazon and purchased it and sent it to my niece, because I'm like, she's got to be inspired by this, you know.
Yeah, there it is right there. Black Girl Baking, wholesome recipes inspired by a soulful upbringing. Right. And she was thrown down too. It was
The apple pie really caught my attention.
Say that again.
I said the apple pie really caught my attention because of the fact that how she got those two flours to combine and get that certain flavor from without adding anything else.
The nuttiness of the almond flour. Yeah.
So of course, once again, my wheels are turning. So I definitely will check that book out myself. But I love it.
And where she got emotional at, which I think is so powerful, man. And she says, as a Black woman, there are all these ideas.
Right.
Okay, that of what I have to be or what I can't be. And she goes, the kitchen is one of those safe spaces for me. It gives me the feeling of empowerment. I can be whatever I want to be. I can put my spin on it. I can do my thing. There are no limitations here.
Right.
And she couldn't even tell, she couldn't even say that. Right. So you knew that was real because she couldn't get that statement, that thought out, man.
And if I remember correctly, didn't she mention she suffered from mental health or something like that?
I believe so.
So cooking was a release, kind of a therapy for her.
And she no longer medicates herself. She uses.
Yeah, she's strong, man. I know I got some Red Velvet fans on here, and she's like, I don't use food coloring for my Red Velvet. I use beets.
Yes.
And you could tell the host, I forget this guy's name again, I keep forgetting it, but he was talking about how that even impacted this dish. He's like, man, this is a Red Velvet cake. I've never tasted it like that. He goes, because you took those beets and made the color with it, it added this flavor to it, Right. So strong, man.
Yeah.
Remember, we were talking about last week how the food, if we were eating it the way they ate it, that stopped us from the blood pressure and the diabetes.
That's right. Yeah, right. Most definitely.
Right. And HRap, I want to shout you out. You must have talked about beets on an episode or something.
It might have been when I was telling him, because he turned me on the beets, the little beet chews and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. My wife just bought some of those.
Super beets.
Yep. She just bought some of those, and I had some for the show. So yeah,
your color was looking pretty good today.
Yeah.
This way.
Feeling pretty good.
Wow.
But you can't look at Red Velvet the same after watching this.
Not at all, man.
Not at all.
No.
And then like HRap, I think HRap said this, we're not eating real food. We're eating manufactured food that's made to look a certain way,
right?
But it's not. Number one, is not healthy for us, and number two, is not real.
Right.
Yeah.
We're in the Matrix.
Yeah.
We are really that dude who sold them out in the Matrix. We know this food ain't real, and we keep eating it, and we keep saying, but it's good.
Yeah. Jarrell Guy. Say that name again, man. Jarrell Guy. Jerrelle Guy. Jarrell Guy. Black Girl Baking. I'm telling you. I believe it so much. You want a copy? Shoot me a message or something. I'll send you a copy. That's how much I want to support her.
Yeah.
Because I definitely have to get me a copy.
And I really liked it because when I was watching this series, I was like, man, it would be awesome if they all came out with cookbooks.
Mm-hmm.
And that would, because if you make a cookbook, it's in essence a history book.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
That's strong.
That's real. And then they transitioned to the Black Cowboys. And one fact that they brought up is that how they herded roughly 5 million cattle out of Texas up north. 5 million.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing. And then it goes back to HRap. You actually taught me this before this, talking about how cowboy was a term for Black cowboys when they said, "Hey, boy." I mean, say they wouldn't call us by our name, so that's how that term came up. But this was another interesting aspect of it. And Steven Satterfield, that's the host. Yeah, and just how they went into and dived into it, and how they were kind of cooking around the fire. That was really nice to see, and how he visited Cowboy Stew. Yeah.
And that, you know what I liked about that man, that old timer, when he was telling them how to cook, he made you act like you're scared of it. You know, he was on it. I love that cat, man. You know, like, okay, do we need to do this yet? He goes, no, man, add some water in there. You know, I was loving it. He didn't care nothing about your documentary. We trying to cook this cowboy stew, and you're not doing it right, and you irritate me.
Right.
Yeah.
We've done this before.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. And that also just showed like, hey, he may not be able to participate like he used to, but I'm still going to include him and ask him. Yeah. And that's
and I like the way his son bring him in, man, and make sure he included and make sure, you know that son know how to make cowboy stew by now after all the times he done made it, but he got to bring old man in, to make sure hey, you tied into this. Make sure we ain't missing nothing.
Right.
Love it.
You got Craig requesting a copy. Man. He said, this is Chris, man, our food has very few, if any, nutrients.
Yeah, he's talking about the food of today.
Yeah.
And you know what was cool about the cowboy?
What's up, Courtney?
In the building?
The cowboy suit came 300 years after they brought us over here. But they make it exactly the way they was making over there in Benin, because remember they stripped the animal head down and used.
Yeah, that's right, man. You're right.
And I had in my notes, we didn't want to waste anything. Right. We're putting it all in there.
And what was they eating that cowboy stew over? Rice in the game again.
That's right, baby.
Yes, sir.
Rice in the game.
Some more of that gravy.
We need to get back to farming. You're right about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had to, again, vegetables and stuff like that. They talked about it being a very important part of our diet back then because they were given rations that were not sufficient for us to survive on. So we had to catch wild game and we had to farm our own stuff, create our own gardens and things of that nature. So it was necessary. It had to.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it went to, which he was pretty much traveling around Texas, and he went to New Zion Baptist. I'm assuming it was a Baptist church, but they had barbecue, and then he went to Gatlin's barbecue, and then he went to Lucille's. Now, I'm gonna go to you, Wilks. Have you been to any of those places?
No, I have not. I have family down in Houston that may have. I should have asked them before the show, but now I have been to churches that have their own little barbecue, little shacks, next to them or in the back, which is an experience. It's one of those things where why go anywhere else, and we can feed you here. It's always, and it was kind of like the church doing its job of feeding the community. Really,
exactly.
And kind of how it got started. But I've been to a few places like that down in East Texas and things like that. But pretty good to see some of that.
And we appreciate you, Maxine, for the great comments and your input. And definitely, we look forward to seeing you next show as well. The Gatlin's barbecue, we all need to make a visit. I think that was in Houston. Y'all need to make a visit to that spot. Lucille's was also a great spot too. They had their, Gatlin's was barbecue. Lucille's had a different spin on things, but they both looked good. They were both using their creativity and kind of using a lot of what they learned, from the past.
Yeah.
Doc, you want to touch on that?
Yeah. Now, of course, Gatlin's was the place that I had heard of before, but hadn't been there. But yeah, definitely. And next time I visit Houston, I want to kind of get a couple of those places, under my belt. Unfortunately, Houston Houston is not one of my favorite towns. So I can't say when I'm going to be there. Right. But if I come, Gatlin is for sure one of the places I want to check out, and I was proud of Texas in general. I said, Texas, baby, they made this a prominent part of this documentary. So I did not expect that and was very well pleased as a result. But definitely got to get there. Definitely got to get there.
And sounds like Kimberly's been to both. They're both great tasting food. And hey, our next spot may need to be going to Houston, taking the Fourcast to Houston. Just Joe's there. Gatlin sells out quickly, I'm sure. That seems like one of those places. Like if you don't get there at a certain amount of time,
right,
it's gonna be gone. That's Wilks.
Pecan Lodge here.
Pecan Lodge, Pecan Lodge,
like that.
People paid for the property as sharecroppers, nickels and dimes. That goes back to Craig's comment. Great tax breaks. We didn't even pay taxes on the property. We still have property from 150 years ago. I love the dirt my ancestors wrapped up in. That's a great comment. Great comment. All right, so this one really got into the roots of Texas. I mean, he was traveling around. He went to Rosenberg, Texas. I like that. Black Cowboy Museum. The guy that had no voice, but you could still hear what he was saying loud and clear.
Right.
Yeah.
That was pretty nice.
Yeah. HRap, you want to touch on that?
I mean, I was very impressed, and it shows you, I've been being more in touch with my spiritual side, and it shows you that maybe you are doing something that you like to do, but the Lord will push you on what you're supposed to be doing. He was a country western singer,
right? And
now he's the proprietor. I mean, he's the caretaker of a Black Cowboy Museum. So maybe that's what he should have been doing in the first place. But we never know what we're supposed to do, and sometimes we will fight it. Oh, no, I don't want to do this anymore. But that's where you need to be.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and one of the things on those Houston barbecue joints, they talked about Texas barbecue, right? There's this thing, right? You got Texas barbecue, you got Kansas City barbecue, you got vinegar based, and all these others, right? Don't nobody worry about Chicago barbecue, man. We ain't thinking about Chicago. And when the cat was talking about Texas barbecue, he was like, they try to pigeonhole it and make it one thing, right? And he goes, but there's so many different variations of what Texas barbecue is, and let it be that, and quit trying to make it be this one thing, So I think that was a fantastic point, and I'm a barbecue snob myself, that's if Craig got a reason for existing on this planet, his slow smoked old fashioned barbecue is one of them. He cut her average. Hell, I'm not there for that. I'm there for his wife pound cakes and his barbecue.
Wow.
Kim said, "Come back to Houston." Doc.
Okay, Kimberly, I'm on Kimmy Koo. We'll come check Houston out. Go ahead and make reservations for Gatlin's.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can do it. So towards the end, it started to talk about
3 meat plate.
Bill Pickett. Huh?
I said 3 meat plate.
Yeah. Started to talk about Bill Pickett and how he invented spear dogging.
Wait a minute. What? Get Craig comment. Oh my God.
Oh man.
We must be live cast with Craig.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kid. No, we wouldn't get a word in edgewise. You can forget that.
Oh man.
Vinegar-based barbecue is not real barbecue. Check the facts. Says Ray Kev.
No argument with me. I'm Texas barbecue all the way. I get it.
Yeah, all day. I have been here since 2003. It has grown and still don't like the barbecue here.
Mm.
So I mean, you don't like. Well, you like Gatlin's. That must be the only spot
She
you
may
like.
not have eaten the barbecue
sauce.
There you go.
What'd you say?
Hood barbecue. She
Like
like
barbecue sauce.
So it talked about Bill Pickett, and it went kind of in depth with him and how he invented steer dogging, and how he retired, then he ended up dying from getting what ended up happening to him. I think he got ran by a bull or a bronco. He got bucked by a bronco or something to that effect. But that was a great aspect of it too. Hearing that part.
See, could have told.
Well, speaking of Houston, didn't the ghetto boy say, "You live by the sword to die by the sword"?
Yes.
Man, Kimmy, what you like the barbecue sauce at?
You don't caramelize the sauce on the meat.
No.
If it's good, you don't need the sauce.
Hey, the sauce is the boss. If your sauce ain't right, I can't argue with you.
And see, I'm the guy that like I don't need the sauce if I got it smoked right. I just need the
It's good, yeah. If it's good enough, you don't need.
Well, I like both because sometimes I'm in the mood for it. And I'm gonna tell you like this: if you're from Dallas and you used to party back in the day, and after the club shut down, you go to Good Luck and you order a link basket, sauce on the fries, and extra toast. If you ain't did that, you have not lived.
It's swimming.
I promise you.
Yeah, good luck.
And you stand around the parking lot and eating it. Come on now.
Right.
Hey, it's this place like that called Farmer Brown here in Chicago. Well, it was called Farmer Brown. It's no longer. He died, and he took the recipe with him.
You said it's called He Died?
No. Farmer Brown. He died. He died. I got a funny story about Farmer Brown. It's literally arguably the best barbecue. It was the best barbecue in Chicago. And my buddy Timothy, God rest his soul, he went to Farmer Brown one night, and he got their last order, and the guy was like, "Hey man, they still open?" He's like, "Nah, this is it." He said, "Give me the chicken." He pulled out a pistol and let him keep his money, and robbed him.
Wow.
Wow.
What in the world?
So you see what she said, right? Farmer Brown's.
Yeah. She said, "Bring me some sauce from Chicago."
Gotcha.
All right, so you got a beauty of the week for part 4 or
Nah, I just made it for the week.
I thought it would have been that sister on the horseback that was going down the trail.
Hey, don't think I didn't see her. Made me want to call my business partners and say, man, we need to get these horses back. We sold them, but they need to be time to buy them again.
Yeah.
Because people don't understand your inside jokes to me and Craig. So just quit trying to get it in there. That goes with Craig's buck you comment, the comment Mika just made. Buck you and that barbecue pit.
And that barbecue pit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. I had to tell you gentlemen one day.
Farmer Brown's dip wings were fire.
It look Dawk don't want to give us credit. Okay.
Prove it. You can't. They stole your chicken.
He didn't want to tell you it was just ketchup and vinegar and a little barbecue sauce.
Right.
And so
you want to make somebody sad in Chicago, bring up Farmer Brown's. It was like, that's why Farmer Brown died.
Wow. Break people down in the fetal position.
Man.
So high on the hog, 1 through 4. We can get to our rating. Any other insider or input we'll go around the horn. Anybody want to drop? Dawk?
Yeah, I think a couple of the comments that they made that really resonated with me. They said our history is viewed as dark, but there's beauty. And they said the food is the lines between the ugliness, so to speak, so they like, yeah. And then they said Black success isn't an exception, it is tradition, and oftentimes it's talked about as simply an exception. But if you're paying attention at all, if you've done nothing but watch the Fourcast for the last 2 months, right, you understand that there is a tradition of excellence, not an exception.
Yeah. And also I'll add this. What's your favorite part? What's your favorite part of the 4 episodes?
The food. Let's see.
That's a given.
No kidding. Probably the, like I like it when, so the lady has the farm, right? I've been to a couple of towns in a few states that have this community farm. I've seen them actually off the major interstates, and they're Black run farms, right? They're just small farms, and that's what the old cats do every day. They go there, they tend the farm, they sit around, play dominoes, etc. You come to town to visit folks, and they like, Dad at the farm, Uncle Jake at the farm, or et cetera, et cetera. So probably that part where, they're getting eminent domained out, that farm and those community dinners that they host, right? We've heard that a couple of different episodes about these dinners that they host, all surrounded around keeping the memory of our food alive. So that's probably my favorite part of all the series.
Yeah. All right, Wilks.
Yeah, I think pretty much what Dawk was saying, the fact that you have these recipes that people are rediscovering and carrying on that legacy and just keeping those things alive, and not changing too much of the recipe, sticking to the recipe, or even maybe elevating it a bit or putting it out there in the forefront. But I think episode 1, she was saying how, why isn't African-American or African food or cuisine as big as Asian or French cooking? So it's significant. It's important that those stories be told. And I like just the entire series of how it was about how much of us, once again, how we're just woven into every aspect.
Yeah. HRap.
Oh, the same thing, man. Believe it or not, man, sometimes when we talk about things like this and you have other cultures around, at one point in my life, I would feel uncomfortable talking about stuff like this. Like, because, you hear people go, if it wasn't for us, if it wasn't for us, if it wasn't for us, and then it almost makes us sound arrogant, right?
Right.
I used to be like, cool in my mind. I never said it out loud. It's the first time I've ever said it out loud. But watching this, I'm going to start saying if it wasn't for us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely.
I've never been that guy. And, man, watching this docuseries makes me realize just how important it is to ring that bell. I told a friend recently, they were like, I don't want to toot my horn. I don't want to toot my own horn. And I told them, I said, hell, if you don't toot your own horn, the music will be right.
Right.
So, it's about time people like myself stop trying to be humble and start saying it, because when we say it, it uplifted somebody. It will uplift someone else. And then you can make all the laws you want, because we know.
Yeah. For me, I thought it was well done, man. From beginning to end, there was no low points or points where we were like, what was that in there for? It all coincided together. One of my favorite parts was the village on the water. I think that was Ganvi. Yeah. That was one of my favorite parts, just seeing the market on the water. And then 3 of my favorite things: mac and cheese, French fries, and ice cream. Now I can eat even more confidently that my ancestors invented it. So that made me feel good. All right, let's get to the rating. 5 mics or 5 mics. 5 mics.
5 mics.
A 5 mic scale. Let's say that. It sounds like you're trying to tell us what the rating.
That sounds better. I'll kick it off. I'm gonna give it 5. I'm gonna go ahead and start off and give it 5. I think it does want me wanting more, but that could possibly lead into a part 2. Right. But the way it was just put together, it was marvelous. Dawk?
Yeah. Before I get to my rating, a couple of more comments that they said. Go ahead and read Craig comment, man. Wow. Yeah, he said this all the time. It's a mighty poor dog that won't wag his own tail. But a couple of comments that I thought were significant and worthy to be mentioned. Well, first of all, I want to mention a couple of names. So the stories of the women of Monticello. We talked about Posey and Hemmings, but the women of Monticello, and this is the part that did not make the cutting room floor, is Edith Hearn Fawcett and Frances Gillette. They were also women of Monticello and cooks and involved in that. So get them some love as well to their families and things of that nature. They were no less significant than Hemmings and Posey. But our cuisine is so much more than soul food, right? Mm. And one of the things that was significant about some of the comments they made, they said, think about this for a moment. We live in a society to where our faces on the product was a symbol of quality.
Right.
Yeah.
If you saw our face on it, that meant, oh, that tastes good.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so I think that was significant. And at the end of the day, we have nourished a nation with our cooking.
And I just want to say, kind of like what HRap experienced, what he said when he was in Texas. You know, if you went to that same restaurant in Chicago, you would see all black people there. But if you go to these restaurants like that in Texas, those white people are in there for a reason. Mm-hmm. Those Hispanic people are in there for a reason with the black cooks and the chefs. There's a reason they're in there. Yeah. And, you know, and like Dawk was just saying, you know, they put our face on these different products. It's because of the quality, you know, and they use our imagery for those things to push that product. And it's like, we're going to do that.
Prime example. And Dawk, you can give your rating. Dough Bellies. Dough Bellies in Forney. Went by there this weekend. It was packed. And the majority of the people, the majority of them were white.
Exactly.
They know what to get.
Don't play.
They don't want to. They don't want to just eat paint all the time.
Oh wow! So yeah, this was the easiest 5 mics I've ever given out, and probably will ever give out. I mean, it's a 5 mic slam dunk.
Yeah,
no complaints.
Wilks.
Yeah, I have to say 5 mics, but my 5 mics is just sort of like I said, the connection of cooking and the journey that it's taken me on, and how I just, you know, I have these things that I would love to do, cooking on the beach and things like that. It's just, and that freedom and that sense of just exploring with different recipes, and like I said, that enjoyment of other people eating it and like, hey, taste this. You know, it's just one of those things where I have to give it 5 mics just because of the spiritual connection for me and how I enjoy cooking. So
yeah. HRap.
Yeah, same here, man. 5. I really like the Texas part in the very beginning was really special to me because it showed you 400 years later, man, they're doing it exactly the way they were doing it before you were captured and beaten into submission. And you said, I'm going to hold on to me. It shows the testament fortitude that we have, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Is that a first? Is that the first time we all had 5?
I think so.
No, I think we had it one other time. Maybe.
Exterminate the
beast.
Yeah, definitely. It was the second time, but that's
I have to say
though,
I have to say now, when I go into a grocery store, I mean, just looking at the different vegetables and the grains and the things that are there, it's like I'm going to remember this, you know, and those ingredients and things. It's going to put a different take on it for me.
I'll never look at yams or actually sweet potatoes the same way again. I'll never look at okra the same way again. Never look at mac and cheese the same way again. Right. I mean, it really changes your perspective and brings it on home.
Okra or Oprah. No, I'm just
wow. And remember what Archie Red said: don't be wasting your money on them organics and free range and all that kind of stuff. That ain't real.
Free range. Yeah. All right. Well, we want to talk about what we want to do next week, or we want to say that for
okay, so there's this new movie coming out with Idris Elba and Regina King is in it. It's an old cowboy western. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's out though, but we got to put that on the list for sure.
Yeah, let me. I actually seen an image of it today. Let's see what the one that comes out. Is it called The Harder They Fall?
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's
It's on Netflix.
Netflix. It says 2021, but it doesn't say.
Oh, is it like coming soon? I guess.
Doesn't say exactly when. Let me see. I'm on IMDb. See if that.
Yeah, it's not saying on entertainment.
Yeah, it says expected 2021. So.
Well, they started.
But that's definitely.
They started.
Regina King.
Good idea. Maybe we should do an old movie.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, then
I'm gonna get you second.
Didn't we talk about doing a Spike Lee joint or something like that?
Yeah. We was just me and you was just free. We was talking about a Spike Lee movie or Cooley High.
That might be it. Cooley High. If we can get that, we can find.
That's the neighborhood I grew up in.
Is it on Amazon Prime?
Yeah, let's where is it?
I think it's on Prime.
Yeah.
Which Cooley High is? Okay.
Is it on
saying it's on Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon Prime, yeah. It's on Pluto TV. Must be on one of those.
It's gonna have commercials.
Yeah.
First breaks.
I think it's on Prime.
Okay. I'm down with that.
I'm down with Cooley High. Coach Chief.
Hey, I walked through that thing at least where he died at least 10,000 times.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you right now, when they start singing that song at the end, my allergies gonna start acting up. I already know.
Yeah, that's a hard ending to a movie there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, and those dudes who played Stone and Robert, Stone is actually Stone.
Hey, save it, man. Don't give away for free what we can sell. Save it.
Never watched it.
That's a must. You gotta watch it.
I haven't either. So
gotta watch what?
What?
You gotta watch what?
Yeah, wow.
Maybe I watched parts of it.
Never watched Cooley High, man.
What? Oh.
Well, if I'm proud of on that, if I'd have known that, I wouldn't have signed my Fourcast contract. If I'd have known that.
He is 39. Oh, Mika too.
Yeah.
Just
it'll be
BFF list.
It'll be two of us that haven't seen it for next week's show.
In the history of America.
Do they have the scene in there when they're in the movie theater and they yell "Disciple"?
Yep, that's right. Hey, this would be funny, right? Are we the only modern day film review show that is about to review a movie that is 70 years old?
1975.
Came out
in 75.
Yeah, came out in 75. Man,
love it.
46-year-old movie, and
it's got Michael Jackson daddy in it.
Yeah, you're gonna see plenty of characters that you recognize. That's for certain.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm looking forward to it. We're
gonna do Cooley High next week.
Huh?
Let's do Cooley High next week.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Man,
Cooley High. I ain't seen that in a minute.
All right, well, Doc.
That's it. Give it that. I said plenty today. Let's get it to HRap as quickly as possible. Let him do his thing.
All right, HRap. Texas HRap, excuse me.
Yeah, Texas. It's like a pimp named Slickback. You got to say it all.
Wow.
St. Louis Slim.
Right. Like I always salute the dude who got me into podcasts. His name Reggie O'Shea, goes by the name of Combat Jack, by saying, "Dream your dreams and man up and woman up and live those dreams, because life without dreams flows in black and white. Life with dreams flows in technicolor surround sound." And everybody know we'll be back next Monday at 9 p.m. And if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if I need it,
get it from
God. Peace.